YouTube? Yeah, I've warped your way back into the WGS Arcade, and we are back with more Boob Tenshi 2, and in the last episode, we got introduced to Tessa, who apparently is very blunt, and she doesn't like to be called cute, even though she is. And we found out some about the modifications to the lab, and we also found out that Tessa can't see Michelle because of, I guess, not being exposed to the time window particles and stuff like that. But somehow Tensei can, even though he's never time traveled. I mean, if you remember back to the last game, he never time traveled once. So anyway, and the only thing I could come up with is that when the time window is active, it releases quantum emissions into our dimension. Not nearly as much as those encounters while actually time traveling, but since I've been working on the time window for over 2 years, perhaps there's been enough cumulative exposure to allow me to perceive Michelle as well. Don't forget that there's still a great deal we don't know about time travel, Kenji. We've only just begun to scratch the surface of this new world of science, and so there's still a good deal that we don't understand and can't predict. Which is one of the things that make time travel so potentially hazardous. I wonder if Grandpa had come to regret building a time window in the first place. Okay, Michelle, let's try that again, and this time I won't let myself get distracted. I think I'll take a pass on you beating me again at this thing. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the distraction, but getting my butt handed to me over and over again is not the best distraction I could have. I can relate to that, but Michelle, how can you play a game anyway? I thought that Gramps and the others modified the time window so I could control all of its systems, even while I'm stuck in like this. On top of that, I can also work any machine that's linked to the time window. So even though I'm trapped, I can at least watch movies, play video games, and she can still control the time window and do her old job. So it's not like we need anybody to replace her. It was clear that tensions and bad blood had been rising steadily in my absence. Hey, relax, Kyo. Just because I can still work machines doesn't mean there's any substitute for having a warm body to handle things here, just in case there's a malfunction. And we do need someone here to work all of the manual overrides we've all installed, just in case of a system failure. In case you're wondering, Tessa, Michelle just endorsed you filling in for her. While Tessa was making a noise of comprehension, I looked back at Michelle. What about you, Michelle? How are you holding up? Sigh. But as well as could be expected, I guess. I mean, it helps having stuff hooked up into the time window, but staring at these same walls day in and day out, and I have to admit, it feels really weird not having to eat or sleep or anything like that. I nodded my understanding and watched as Michelle solemnly lowered her eyes and folded her arms under her chest. And despite everything, I found my eyes drawn to her voluptuous body. Two mammoth curves bulged from her. Mammoth is an understatement. I mean, really. So huge that they were larger than her head. The skimpy time suit she wore hardly kept her massive bust in check, and I couldn't help but wonder how much strain the fabric could. Time suit. Wait a second. And what are you looking at? Eck. Don't think I didn't notice you staring at them, you perv. Michelle flashed me a mischievous smile, before inhaling deeply and thrusting her chest towards me. Oh. Wait, okay, I'm gonna have to look back on the video, but I could have sworn I just saw the boobs move. It might have been just me. It might have been my eyes, but I'm gonna look at it again, I promise. I could have sworn I heard her outfit creaking as her tremendous breasts strained to break free of the clothing's restriction. God almighty. Ay, ay, ay. This is a guy game. This is a guy game, that's all I'm gonna say. Well, I guess I don't mind you staring. After all, the girls are kinda hard to miss these days. Michelle then did a provocative twirl, her hair flowing about her like a cloak, giving me a perfect view of her shapely rear. Just remember, you can look, but you can't touch. Although her voice had started off as teasing, Michelle's voice suddenly gave out, like her last few words are reminding her of the situation she was in. No, that isn't it. It's just, I noticed that you're wearing your time suit, but when...
Oh, I get it. Yeah, we didn't notice it until after you left, but for some reason, even though Michelle was wearing her own regular clothes, well, when that happened, the time window still shows her as wearing her time suit. We don't really get why.
My best guess is that since Michelle only used the time window while wearing her time suit, the time window now associates her unique biological signature with that same outfit and thus depicts her as wearing it, even though she isn't. As I've said, there's still a great deal about time travel we don't understand, and even less that we understand about this.
Uh-oh. My grandfather was interrupted when the alarm sounded and red lights began flashing in the time window room. Hey, what's going on? The sensors just picked up a temporal distortion. Someone just traveled back in time.
It's Mizuki and Bunny. They're at it again. Michelle, has Rose re-entered the lab?
Let's see. Okay, here it is. Yeah, the computer shows the elevator was activated 10 minutes ago using her password.
Alright then, Kyo, get changed, and if you see Rose...
Right, Tensei, be back in a jiffy!
As Kyo scampered off looking giddy as usual, Tensei sighed.
I was hoping that we'd have more time to prepare to get everything ready before we had to deal with those two, but no, here we go again.
What should I do, Tensei?
You'll be staying here with me and helping Michelle and I with the controls. Remember, you've never gone through the time window before, so you have no experience with the way it changes your body or how to compensate for that change in a fight. Even more, Rose and Kyo haven't finished your time suit or the weapons for you and Kenji.
Huh? A weapon? For me?
As I've said, Kenji, things are changing, and we all need to be ready for whatever happens next.
I couldn't help but feel uneasy by the way my grandfather said these words. But before I could give them any more thought, the door opened and revealed Rose and Kyo, who quickly darted in. Damn! I know it's the same outfits from the last game, but still. Damn! What the? As Tessa stared at the newly arrived girls, her jaw dropped in disbelief. Honestly, I couldn't blame her for feeling stunned by the scantily clad Rose and Kyo. Even though I still had some memories of the effects that time travel had on the girls' bodies, I realized that their time suits left practically nothing to the imagination. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. As always, Rose wore her suit of plated armor, which shifted and flexed with her supple body as she moved around. Her arms and legs were thoroughly armored, and she had a plated corset with a bikini bottom that gave everyone a perfect view of her exquisite figure. From her hip hung a large, powerful-looking sword that I had seen her wield with considerable skill. Meanwhile, Kyo was wearing what can only be described as the lingerie from a French maid's costume. A skimpy white lace bikini with the matching garter that led down to a set of silk stockings and a set of high-heeled shoes, all accentuating her hourglass figure. Pardon me. Like I said, doing voices is a strain on your throat. She also had a lace headpiece and carried a feather duster, which I knew from experience could transform into an energized whip. As I did my best to keep myself from doing something stupid, Tessa made a series of astonished and disapproving noises. Are you two kidding me? You're honestly gonna go fight in those redonkulous outfits? Why don't you just go through the time window nude while you're at it?
Well, I wanted to, but the others refused the petition I made.
Michelle, have you been able to log on to where and when Mizuki and Bunny have gone?
No. This can't be right. That's impossible. The rest of us looked towards Michelle, who was studying the various monitors and displays, all the while shaking her head at the results she was getting. What is it, Michelle? When are they? There's gotta be a malfunction of some kind. There's no way these readings are correct. Michelle, what's wrong? Finally seeming to become aware of our voices, Michelle looked towards all of us and shook her head. According to these readings, Bunny and Mizuki are somewhere in Egypt. In the 15th century BC.
But, Michelle, that simply can't be correct. Check again.
I've already double-checked the data and run diagnostics on all the systems. The data checks out. I know it's impossible, but it still checks out.
What? What's going on? I can't hear her, remember? But that can't be! They're seriously in the 1500s? BC 1500s? As in over 3,000 years ago?
That can't be right. The farthest we've been able to go is the 1600s AD. The time window becomes unstable if we try for anything further back than that. How could Bunny and Mizuki go back thousands of years when they're using a future version of our time window?
Oh, I see. Well, it is the future, right? Maybe their version of the time window was more advanced than ours. I mean, I know you said that their future was totally right, but still, maybe.
Obviously, something has changed to allow Mizuki and Bunny to go back further in time than they could before. And that same something must be what's increased the sensory range of our time window to be able to detect them in ancient Egypt.
That's easy for me to say.
And I think it's quite obvious what that something is.
You think Michelle's boosting the range of the time window? Tensei, I've told you, I'm not doing anything.
That's not what I meant, Michelle. What I think is now that you've merged with the time window, your presence is somehow increasing its operational range, allowing it to scan and apparently travel far greater distances through time than it could previously.
You really think that's it, Grandpa?
I can't think of any other possible explanation. Unfortunately, there's only one way for us to find out for certain. Michelle, set the time window for those coordinates, but don't raise the shield until we're certain that the portal is stable enough to allow us for safe transit.
It was clear that Michelle wasn't at all happy about this, but then I watched as the center platform of the time window began to glow. Flashes of what seemed like lightning began dancing around the perimeter between the platform and the overhang as the time window rapidly became brighter to the point of almost blotting Michelle out.
Rose, Kyo, we haven't had the chance to properly test all of the time window systems. You've both gone back only once since Michelle was merged with it, and that was only about 50 years in the past. Neither of you have ever gone back this far, so there's no way for us to predict what will happen. So if you don't feel the risk is worth it, then...
But it is worth it, Tensei. Whatever Bunny and Mizuki are doing, this will be our first chance to try and talk them down since we lost contact with them last week. We need to find out what happened and what might have changed with them. Besides, we've seen all the results of a paradox, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone, including them.
Yeah, and I'm still not sure about the butterfly effect, but I do want to help them with their future.
Everyone, the portal's stable. I don't know how, but we've got a confirmed lock on the proper place and time. We're as ready as we're ever going to be.
Then raise the shield, and Rose and Kyo, best of luck to you both.
Rose and Kyo nodded before heading towards the time window as some other machinery whirred, raising the plexiglass shield that kept people safe from its potential wrath. Before we go any further, guys and gals, we're going to go ahead and call it an episode, and when we come back to the arcade, it's time traveling time, and of course, you know what that means with Rose and Kyo. For those of you who don't know, just tune into the next episode. So, with that being said, I'm your friendly neighborhood Wrestlegamer, and I will see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys!
We did a good thing! We did a good thing! think.
And how about Dana Brooke saying that Punk's next fight
Dana
should
White.
not be in the UFC?
Dana White. Of course not.
That's what I said, didn't I?
You said Dana Brooke.
I thought I said Dana White.
No, Dana Brooke.